Hey guys, to celebrate the birthday of our esteemed founder and CEO, Anthony Morocco, this month, I'm beyond thrilled to dive into this video and unveil the captivating history of Morocco Method. Discover what makes our company truly exceptional, boasting over 50 years of excellence in crafting the healthiest and most natural hair care products worldwide. Enjoy part 1 of this series.
How did I first start working as a hairdresser? Well, I just got out of the Navy. My older brother, Raymond, was a barber. So I thought about it and realized, well, I'll just go to hairdressing school in New York City and I'll create my own business. So that's how it started. So how did I ever get my apprenticeship at Kenneth's Salon, the most famous salon in the world? I was in hairdressing school and I had 3 part-time jobs. I was a waiter, bartender, and a caterer. So the owner of the catering company was Larry DiCrosanti. Larry calls me up and says, I just had breakfast with Rosemary Sorrentino this morning, and she was complaining how she just fired her 50th, that's 50th assistant. So he said, I want you to go down tomorrow morning and interview at Kenneth's for this position. And she's the world's most famous hair colorist. So I went to bed with, I need to go to school. I've lost too much time. So I better do what Larry says, I'll lose my job. So I got dressed, got a subway, boom, flew down to 54th Street. I was really amazed when I first arrived because the whole street is lined up in Rolls Royces. And I came to the door and said had an interview with Rosemary Sorrentino. They finally let me in and I'm sitting downstairs waiting to be called. And I look up at this grand staircase. And then I see this blonde starting to come down the staircase, and she has these huge sunglasses on, and she's dragging a mink coat behind her. And I realize it's Faye Dunaway. Well, I'm really in shock. Faye Dunaway just did Bonnie and Clyde. So she was one of the most famous names in the world at the time. Someone calls my name and says, okay, here, you're gonna get into the elevator, go to the 3rd floor. And I go up to the 2nd floor. The gate opens and Jackie Kennedy Onassis walks into the elevator. Well, I'm really now pretty shocked. So I'm like, there I am, Faye Dunaway, Jackie Kennedy Onassis, and I've only been in the salon for like less than 30 minutes. So Rosemary has an extraordinary coloring department. She's going around the 6 different booths and there's all these rich and famous people in each booth. She said, you'll do fine. Just show up tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. And then she dismisses me. So I walk out in a daze. I have to go to Queens, where I'm going to hairdressing school. I say, I want to speak to the guy who runs the hairdressing school. I have something to tell him. And I sit down and he's on the phone and he says, what do you want? I says, well, I just had an interview at Kenneth's Salon. He said, what Kenneth's Salon? I said, 57 East 54th Street, New York City, Mr. Kenneth. I just got interviewed and I'm hired and I start tomorrow morning as an apprentice to Mr. Kenneth and to Rosemary Sorrentino. So he looks at me and he says, look, this is your lucky day. If I'm allowed to use your name to say that one of my students graduated from my school and is now apprenticing to Mr. Kenneth directly, he said, I'll give you your diploma today. So in comes the secretary. She gives me a diploma. He stamps it and off I go. So what was it like working at Kenneth's Salon in the 1960s? I must admit that I wasn't prepared. It was very shocking. And I was just a country bumpkin. I didn't realize who Mrs. Paul Mellon was. I didn't know who Happy Rockefeller was. And Rosemary said to me, look, Antonio, she said, you really have to find out who these people are. They're not rich. These are the super rich. Lauren Bacall, Faye Dunaway, Nancy Sinatra, Mia Farrow, Audrey Hepburn. They're coming and they're going. Lucille Ball. The laundry list was endless. Marilyn was Kenneth's favorite client. And there was pictures all over the room, signed by her to different hairdressers and to Rosemary and to Kenneth. They all adored her when she came into the salon. There I was in my 20s, the most famous salon in the world with the biggest names. I mean, any hairdresser would kill to have one of these names. We had them all. We had all of them. So when did I first start noticing the damage that the hair coloring was causing these super rich and famous people? That the hair was starting to not be very shiny, It was losing its luster. There was some breakage. The hairline was breaking. But mostly I was really coming to be concerned about myself. The fumes is really strong. There were days when I really didn't feel good. We're using tons and tons of chemicals. I started really looking into it. But I started going to the library and started doing a lot of research and talking to other hairdressers. That's when I realized this has gotten to be really, really dangerous. It was very unhealthy, very toxic. I had to realize that I'm going to walk out of a multi-million-dollar career. I was one of the 5 most top hair colorists in the world at that point. And one day I remember Rita, she was an extraordinary botanist, naturalist, and she made shampoos and conditioners and styling products for individual clients. Nancy Sinatra came in, she would create a conditioner only for Nancy Sinatra. Rita says to Rosemary, she said, you know, I really would do anything if you could get Jackie Kennedy Onassis to come up to my room. And I said, if you'll teach me the foundation to make shampoos and conditioners, I will get Jackie up here on her next visit. So Rita agreed. Then I started going up to Rita during my breaks, and she started really showing me how to do basic foundational botanist chemistry with shampoos, conditioners, and styling products. When I left Kenneth in 1968, when I went to Europe, I continued that study with botanists all through Italy, England, and France. One of my side hobbies was to study with botanists only with hair colors, shampoos, which I eventually created the 5 elements: fire, air, earth, water, ether. When I came to realize with my spiritual studies that the whole universe was structured on 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses, 5 elements. There's 5 types of hair on the body. So I thought, well, you only need 5 shampoos, you only need 5 conditioners, and that's how it all started.